Dear friends, the following is a brief background about Syria's recent history. In April 1946, the last French troops left Syria and Syria became an independent republic. The rule in Syria was then democratic until 1963, when the Ba'ath Party came to power through a coup. Hafiz Assad, father of the current president, or the so-called president, Bashar Assad, was the Minister of Defense until 1970, when he captured power by staging a coup and solely ruled the country until 2000. During the early years of his reign, Hafiz Assad eliminated his comrades whom he perceived as a potential threat to his power. Subsequently, he prepared a new constitution with a clause that enshrined the Ba'ath Party as leader of the state and society. This constitution also granted Assad a firm grip over the three government branches. Secret police agencies mushroomed and gained absolute power during his horrible rule of Syria. In addition, other loyal militias were established to secure his control over the army and the country. The Syrian people stood up against his oppressive rule. But he put their attempts down using brutal force. In 1982, for example, his troops committed the notorious Hama massacre, where over 30,000 people were killed and tens of thousands were jailed or displaced. The Masharqa massacre in Halab, the massacre of Jisr al-Shughur, the infamous Palmyra prison massacre, where hundreds of prisoners were killed in cold blood inside their cells, are just a few of Hafiz Assad's crimes. In 2000, and right after Hafiz Assad's death, the appointed People's Assembly swiftly amended the constitution, tailoring the required presidential candidate qualifications to fit the son, Bashar al-Assad. Since then, things in Syria have gone from bad to worse. Individuals who dare to talk about freedoms are now jailed along with their lawyers. Members of parliament are now jailed for committing the crime of meeting with their constituents. Feeling frustrated, humiliated, and impoverished for more than 40 years under the rule of the Assad family and their brutal regime, the Syrian people on March 15th took to the streets demanding their basic rights. They decided to stand up for their human rights after 11 years of hollow promises of reform. The spark started in the southern city of Daraa, following the outrageous torture of elementary school children while in custody of a local secret police agency led by one of Assad's cousins. Soon after, the uprising spread all over the country. The regime, taken off guard by the brave, peaceful demonstrations, deployed its gangs, brutal security agencies, as well as the army to crush the movement. It kicked out all media reporters, and denied international human rights organizations entry into the country. Dear friends, more than 850 people are confirmed dead so far. Thousands have been injured, and more than 12,000 have been detained, mostly at schools and soccer fields, which have been transformed into concentration camps. Several cities are presently under siege, where electricity, water supplies, and all means of communication are just cut off. Even food and medicine are not allowed into the besieged cities. Soldiers who refuse orders to shoot at the civilians are shot dead on the spot, and the injured are denied access to hospitals. Human rights activists and concerned citizens are rounded up daily and jailed. The regime is set to fight the protesters until the end, as one of the Assad family members said. Dear friends, we are here today in solidarity with the freedom-seeking Syrian people who are being slaughtered by the ruthless Assad regime. We call on all freedom lovers and supporters all over the world to do what they can to stop the massacres taking place in Syria. We call on the Canadian government to declare that Assad has lost the legitimacy to rule, and he must go. To kick out the Syrian ambassador in Ottawa, and to work with its partners south of the border, in Europe, in the Security Council, in the G8, and all over the world, to tighten the sanctions against the Syrian regime, including Bashar Assad. Thank you.